In this video, we're going to discuss the halachas of Tevilas keilim and Biur Chametz, destroying the chametz. But first, to mention something that I forgot in last video, how do you kasher towels and tablecloths? Kashering towels and tablecloths are pretty simple. You put them in a hot run in the laundry with detergent, and then you can use them for Pesach. Hot doesn't have to be so hot, as long as it is 115 degrees or more, that would be good enough. Let's talk about Tevilas keilim. We know if we buy either a metal or a glass utensil, we have to be tovel it before we can use it. But this year there's a problem. The keilim mikvaros are closed. So how can we do Tevilas keilim with the new keilim that we've bought for Pesach? There are several options. Halachically, the best option would be to tovel it in an ocean. You don't have to actually go to the ocean. There could be a bay which is open to the ocean, would be good too. Something like the Venice canals, you'd be able to be tovel it in. However, there still is a problem. In LA County, the oceans are closed. I'm not sure about Venice canals. So if you are going to the ocean, we ask that you could let our shul know in our WhatsApp group, and perhaps you can help other people take their keilim there. But let's assume you're not able to go to the ocean. What should you do? So there are several options. The next best option would be to give the keilim to a non-Jew and to borrow them back. You can do that with your housekeeper or your gardener. However, the person has to take actual physical possession. You don't have to hand it to the person, so you can still stay 6 feet away. You can put it down, and you can explain to the person that you're doing a legal loophole, and you're giving him ownership, and now he or her owns the keilim, and you can ask them to borrow it back for Pesach. Once this is over, you'll ask them to gift it back to you, and then you'll be tovel it properly. If you do not have a non-Jew who you're able to physically hand the keilim to, then what will be the next option to do? If you haven't yet bought the keilim, or you've bought them but you haven't yet received them, you can say that you don't intend to take ownership of the keilim. So even when Amazon, let's say, delivers it, you'll bring it into your house, but not as the owner. Then the keilim will remain hefker, they will remain ownerless, and once they remain ownerless, they don't require a tevila. What if you've already bought the keilim, so you own them? What you can do? What you would have to do is you'd have to relinquish your ownership and make them hefker. The halacha is to relinquish the ownership. It has to be done in front of 3 people. You don't have to actually have 3 people there. It could be 3 people on the phone or on Zoom. However, of those 3 people, 2 of them have to be kosher edim. They have to be halachically acceptable witnesses. That would mean 2 male adults who are not related to you, or are not related to each other. The 3rd person could be anybody, could be somebody related to you. So you can have all 3 of them on the phone or on Zoom, and you can declare that you're making these keilim ownerless, you're relinquishing your ownership from the keilim. Actually, we're going to try to do that as a shul this Sunday night after our Zoom mincha and ma'ariv at about 7:40. You can bring your keilim to the Zoom minyan, and we'll relinquish ownership in front of each other. Again, these options are only options allowed while we have this difficulty. Once this is over, we will take back ownership and we'll be tovel them. This is something to remember, and perhaps you should write a note for next year after you put your keilim away for next Pesach, that a lot of your new keilim haven't actually been toveled, and next Pesach, before you use them, you're required to be tovel them. Let's discuss now the halacha of destroying your chametz, Biur Chametz. So one of the things we do is we sell the chametz. Traditionally, that's done with a kinyan, with the rav, and you make the rav your shliach, your agent, to sell the chametz to a non-Jew. This year, it's impossible to do the kinyan, and we have Biur Chametz forms available to be done online. You're going to legally sign the shtar, and you'll be able to sell your chametz without having to do the kinyan. When it comes to Biur Chametz, we have to get rid of all the chametz in our house. On Wednesday, Erev Pesach, by approximately 11:30, we have to have all the chametz out of our house. What if you have chametz in the garbage? Well, the best thing to do would be to take the garbage bins out of your property. For many of us, garbage pickup is on Friday, so we can already take the bins, put them on the street on Wednesday morning, and that way all the garbage is hefker and off our property, and we don't have to do any more. What if you live in an apartment where you don't have the ability to take the garbage off your property? Ideally, what you should do is try not throw the chametz in the garbage from the last pickup. Let's say the last pickup would be Friday, and try destroy it separately. However, if that's not a I'm talking about only the actual chametz, not all the other garbage. However, if that's not a possibility, you could put it in the garbage, and we'll assume that the garbage will be sold with the rest of your chametz. Normally speaking, we burn the chametz on Erev Pesach. This year is not going to be a public Biur Chametz, so what should we do? If you have a barbecue, you can simply take the chametz, put it in your not Pesach barbecue, and burn it over there. Remember, you don't have to burn all your chametz. Most of it you can put in the garbage. You only have to burn a kezayis, which is about half a slice of bread. So the 10 pieces of bread which you used the night before for bedikas chametz would certainly do. Anything else that doesn't have to be burnt. If you're unable to burn the chametz, you certainly should not go out and burn it elsewhere. According to almost all opinions, Biur Chametz does not actually require you to burn it. Destroying it any other way would also be a fulfillment of the mitzvah. And therefore the best thing to do would be to take those 10 pieces of bread which you used for bedikas chametz and just flush them down the toilet. That's certainly destroying them, and you fulfill the mitzvah of Biur Chametz that way. It's very important to remember that both when we do bedikas chametz on Tuesday night and we do Biur Chametz on Wednesday morning, you have to do bittul chametz. Bittul chametz is that we declare that any chametz which we may have left in our house, we missed, we didn't see, we want to declare it all to be garbage and to be hefker. It's a sentence which is said in Aramaic. If you understand the Aramaic, you can say it in Aramaic. If not, you can say it in English. But it's supposed to be said by everybody in the house, both after we finish the bedikas chametz on Tuesday night, and after you destroy the chametz, whether by burning or flushing down the toilet on Wednesday morning before the 11:30 deadline, we repeat again the declaration that any chametz we have left is null, void, and hefker, and we don't retain any ownership. Also, one thing not to forget this year is you have to make an Eruv Tavshilin on Wednesday, since we have a 3-day Yom Tov, Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos, to allow you to cook from Yom Tov to Shabbos. We'll send out a reminder with the halachas of Erev Tavshilin before Yom Tov. Let's just discuss for a few minutes non-food Pesach products. We'll discuss the halachas of cosmetics and shampoos and soaps. Is there a problem if they contain chametz? Some of the shampoos we have do contain chametz, but they're not a problem. None of that chametz is edible, and none of that chametz could be used to make other things into chametz, and therefore they do not fall under the prohibition of chametz. This includes shampoos and soaps and creams, and most cosmetics would not be a problem of chametz, and we don't have to go check to see if it contains chametz or not. There are a few things we do have to check. One of the things is something which has an alcohol base, like perfume or liquid deodorant. If it has an alcohol base, it is possible it's made out of wheat alcohol, and although right now it is not edible, since it's not difficult to change it into an edible product, there are some opinions that we would still view it as an edible product. And therefore, liquid perfumes and deodorant should be checked on the list to make sure that it's not chametz. As a general rule, if it's made in America, you can assume that even if it does have alcohol in it, it's not considered to be chametz, since in America most alcohol is made out of corn. However, if it's made out of America and it does have alcohol in it, you should check the list to make sure that it's not chametz. So just to summarize, creams, soaps, shampoos, all not considered to be chametz, but something like perfumes and liquid deodorant, you should check to make sure that it's not chametz. What about toothpaste? Toothpaste is somewhat questionable if it's an edible product or not. While nobody would intentionally swallow toothpaste, we do put it in our mouth and we don't have a problem swallowing it. So there is a possibility it's considered to be an edible product. Therefore, you should make sure that the toothpaste is not chametz. Colgate, Aim, or a gel is not chametz. Other ones you should check on the list. And the same halacha applies to mouthwash. Mouthwash, again, nobody will intentionally eat mouthwash, but we do swallow it all the time. It's also questionable if that's an edible product, and you should check to make sure that it's not chametz. Most Listerine and Scope is not considered chametz, and it is usable. The final thing, we'll deal with medicine. Medicine which are made out of a pill. Pills are not considered to be chametz since they're not edible products. However, the liquid medicine and the children's medicine and vitamins, you have to make sure that it's not chametz. There are lists, and there are certain brands of Motrin and Tylenol which are not considered chametz. We will try send out a list.